things. And that was really pivotal for me because I had always just been go, 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 push, 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 do more, work harder. And then I realized, like, oh no, I'm not a robot. Like, I
Yeah.
can't keep doing this. Learning that it doesn't have to be done yesterday. But a lot of times I find when we set goals that are really strictly time bound, like, I don't know about you, but as a mom with two little kids, it takes me 50% longer to do everything than I think it will.
Buckle up for a new episode of the S.H.E podcast, the show where we have real and raw conversations to inspire and empower you to be seen and heard so you can create balance and everything you want in your life and business. I'm your host, Heidi S.H.E, and I'm excited to walk alongside of you on this journey of being seen, heard, and empowered. Welcome to today's episode of the S.H.E podcast. Be seen, be heard, be empowered. And I'm so excited about today. It is when we are recording this right now, it is 10 a.m. Eastern. And this is typically when I start my day. I have morning drop off at two different schools for two different children. So literally my day kicks off at 10. And I saw this lovely lady's name on my schedule. And I was like, yes. And we were talking behind the scenes and she felt the same way. We've already talked in the past. I was on her podcast and we're doing a collab. And now she's here and I couldn't be more excited to be bringing her to you. So welcome to the show, Kate House.
Heidi, thank you so much for having me. It's such a pleasure. I was also just so excited. I saw you on my calendar today and I was like, this is the perfect way to start my day.
It is the perfect way to start today. We're going to have so much fun. Before we dive in, though, Kate, I'm just going to give everybody a little background about you. So, Kate House is the host of the Live by Design podcast and founder of the empowerment coaching program, the Live by Design Collective. She helps women who feel stuck and overwhelmed and want to move through life with confidence and clarity, set and actually achieve their personal goals with soul via mindset shifts, personal growth practices, healthy habits, and guilt-free self-care. As a behavior change specialist, empowerment coach, top 2% globally ranked podcaster, and virtual summit host, she perfectly poised to support you in living by design and not by default by her signature method, the Live by Design blueprint, because you are the architect of your extraordinary life. And I love that, architect of your extraordinary life, because it's about creating what you want and building upon that. So thank you again, Kate, for joining me today. I have I'm going to kick it off with my first question. And I usually ask this of most of my guests who come on, is how you help women now and moving into entrepreneurship. Is this something that you navigated? Was this a personal journey that you've gone through yourself and now you help women through this process? Or is this something that you just felt called to do and, learned how to do it, got your certification or your degree and have moved through that? Or is this like a combination of both?
Yes. Oh, Heidi, I love this question. So it's definitely a combination of both. So I like to say it's been a 10-year journey to get here because I'm 35 now. At 25, I like to kind of jokingly say I had a quarter life crisis. Up until that point, I was, the oldest child, high achiever, straight A's in school, Phi Beta Kappa, all that. I got the job I was supposed to have, had incredible colleagues, but I just felt really unfulfilled.
Mm.
And I was just checking all the boxes of what you were, supposed to do, right? But I don't think I ever really stopped to think, is this what I actually want? Is this how I want to spend my time, right? And I have this memory of sitting on our hand-me-down leather sofa in our apartment in Illinois with my husband. And I was just crying. I was so stressed. I felt really stuck, right? That's why I help women who feel stuck. And I remember telling him, I just wish I could do something differently. And he just wanted to help. He was like, I wish I could do something to help. And not all of us get like a light bulb moment, but I had a little light bulb go off over my head that was like, okay, nothing changes if nothing changes. And I was like, oh,
Mm.
I can't keep showing up and doing life the way I am and expecting to feel differently. And then I also realized that what I'm not changing, I'm choosing. And that really was like oh, okay. So I have the agency to change and I have to be the one to do it. Nobody's going to do it for me. So that just started this journey of moving from a traditional 9 to 5. First, I became a yoga teacher and a manager of a studio because I was like, I got to get off the computer for a while. I was having stress nightmares about my email crashing in my old career. I was like, I got to get off the computer and into my body again. Right. So taught yoga. From there, I became a holistic health coach. And then from there, I wanted to reach more people. So during the pandemic, I started the podcast because I was like, well, I can't go anywhere. And from there, I've grown the coaching practice. I'm writing my first book, the summits, and all of that. But it's just been a series of trusting myself to take the next right step and being okay, not necessarily knowing where am I going to be in 10 years, because where I am now, if I had known where I'd be now, I would have been so scared to start because it would have felt insurmountable. So for me, it's about helping high achievers take the next right step.
That is so inspiring. And I love that you shared all of that because we can't see where we're going in the
Mm-hmm.
moment, right? Thank you, Kate, for sharing all of that. I love that because it reminds me of this quote that I've learned to live by that I heard from some mentors of mine, which is, and I'm not going to get it perfectly right, but you can Google this if you're listening. It's we can't connect the dots looking forward. We can only connect the dots looking backwards. So we must trust that the dots will connect at
Mm-hmm.
some point. And I think what you shared is truly powerful and true. Because
Mm-hmm.
sometimes if we knew where we were going, and that's part of the fun and the journey of it, and also the fear that
Yeah.
kicks in around it too. If we knew where we're going, and especially if we were creating this huge, amazing life, then it would stall us in our track because we would be like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, how are we even ever going to get there? We're so focused on the
Mm-hmm.
house sometimes.
Yeah.
And I want to talk into you started doing yoga and you
Mm-hmm.
started teaching that and then managing that. I want to talk into that because we talk about in entrepreneurship journey, and I
Yeah.
always ask about the challenges, which I will ask
Mm-hmm.
you the biggest tip you could give someone. And I also want to talk, I know you're a mom. So
Mm-hmm.
this has opened the door for me because I'm having these conversations with my daughter right now because she's 15 around doing what you love. And you brought that up. So I'm going to bring that into the conversation too. But I really want to get into the holistic piece of it because I don't think
Mm-hmm.
that's talked enough about in
Yeah.
entrepreneurship. Like we're talked about the strategy, which business
Mm-hmm.
strategist, I get all that. We have to do it. But we don't talk enough about the self-care. And I'm not talking about self-care going in to get your nails done. I'm talking about that inner work
Mm-hmm.
of emotional mastery, of, meditation or whatever that it looks like for you, journaling. So can you share more about what that yoga practice and what that
Mm-hmm.
holistic piece of building your business, how
Yeah.
that supported you and helped you? Because when we talk to or we read books about the most successful people in the world,
Mm-hmm.
they all have these practices.
Mm-hmm.
And many of us as entrepreneurs, we skip them because we're like, we'll do that later when we're successful and we have the time. And unfortunately,
Mm-hmm.
I'm learning that that is a big piece of being successful. So can you talk more about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think I've always been the kind of person where when I want to do something, I want it done yesterday.
Yeah.
And so for me, learning to slow down was actually really challenging. But because I was coming out of this season of what I realized was burnout from my first career, and I just wanted to get back into my body. And I had started running actually to deal with the stress I was feeling on a day to day. And my hamstrings got so tight. I was like, I can't run like this. So that's how I started yoga. And I just fell in love with it. I was like, I love the mindfulness of it. I love that it forces me to slow down. Like for the next hour, I'm on this mat and that's where I am. And I'm with my thoughts and I'm with my feelings. And that was really pivotal for me because I had always just been go, 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 push, 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 do more, work harder. And then I realized, like, oh no, I'm not a robot. Like, I
Yeah.
can't keep doing this. And so that was a really important part of the journey for me in learning that it doesn't have to be done yesterday. You can take your time. And when it comes to thinking about my entrepreneurial journey over the last decade, it's really been about I love to set goals. I mean, I coach people on how to set goals with soul and what those look like, but a lot of times I find when we set goals that are really strictly time bound, like I don't know about you, but as a mom with two little kids, it takes me 50% longer to do everything than I think it will. And so if I set a time bound goal, for example, for my podcast, right? If I started my show back in 2020 and I was like, by the end of the year, I want to be a top 2% globally ranked podcast, I would have quit because I wouldn't have done it. And so, but I've just kept showing up and kept creating and offering my community what they needed to hear, right? What they wanted to learn, what I needed to learn right alongside them, oftentimes. And that has happened over the course of 350 something episodes now, right? And so for me, it's a matter of, taking the next right step, giving yourself permission to slow down when you need it, right? There are definitely seasons when we put in a lot of time, we put in a lot of energy, but I think our life is lived in the day to day. And so, what are you doing in your day to day that nurtures yourself, right? That is that holistic picture. How are you nourishing your body? How are you nourishing your mind? How are you nourishing your relationships and your soul, right? And that's the stuff that we want to put off till later, like you said. But
Right.
I find that the more I pour into that, like I do a gratitude practice and a goals practice when I start my workday. And I have to do it at the start of the day because if I'm like, I'll just do it later, it never happens. And I start off in such a better headspace when I do that first. And it takes 5 minutes, right? And so it's just about getting in that practice of doing it and then how that consistency compounds over time.
Yeah, that's so good. I like that you said 5 minutes because at the beginning you said
Yeah.
you take an hour and you take that time for you. Many women could be listening going, oh, I do not have
Mhm.
an hour, Kate. Like I do not resonate with that at all. And then
Yeah.
like, but you don't have to start there.
No.
It's not starting with the hour. Kate's been doing
Mhm.
this for a long time. Just like you mentioned your podcast being top 2% globally, you've been doing this for a while. You have
Yeah.
350 episodes up under your belt. And congratulations to you for that because I was, yeah, I started this about a year and a half ago
Yeah.
and we're at the top 10% now. And I didn't even know it.
Amazing.
Somebody,
Yes.
and I'm excited. And I never even thought about being top 10% or
Yeah.
even 2%. So when I read that you're 2%, I'm like, yes, you go, girl. Because it's all about consistency. Most people that
Yeah.
launch podcasts don't make it to 10 episodes. And
Yep.
we're at 50, 54, 55, somewhere
It's
around there.
amazing.
And I'm really excited. Next year, we'll maybe possibly double that. So I give you kudos and you're an inspiration to me because now I'm like,
Oh.
okay, she's 300 episodes ahead of me. Like I've got a long journey to go, but it's so exciting to see you doing it and
Mhm.
you're making it look like you're doing it with ease and grace. And that's because you're
Oh.
implementing the tools that you also teach, which is
Mhm.
important that you're walking the talk.
Yeah.
And that's so refreshing. And so, like, for you listening, like, she's the real deal. Like, so if you're
Oh.
feeling overwhelmed and stuck, she's the person that you want to go to, especially if you're a high achiever woman, juggling all the hats and feeling like there's not enough hours in the day to get it all done. And you have this big vision and big goal. So let's talk into that, Kate, if you don't
Yeah.
mind. Like,
Absolutely.
somebody's listening, they're a mom,
Mm.
right? They're juggling all the hats, and I have this big vision or this big goal, or maybe I don't even know how to get my big vision or my big goal because I'm just overwhelmed under my pile
Yeah.
of stuff day to day.
Mhm.
What do I even do to create a better? I know I'm meant for
Yeah.
more. I don't know what that looks like. I don't know what it is. All I'm doing is rinsing and repeating my same old life. If,
Mhm.
like you said, if I want change, but I don't know how to make the change,
Yeah.
and I guess I'm choosing this, but I don't see how I'm choosing it when I don't even know a way out.
Yes.
What would you, how would we navigate that? Or what would be the first step for someone to take?
Yes. Oh, Heidi, I love this question because I have been this woman more than once in my life, right? And so that's actually why I created my signature framework, which is I call it the Live by Design Blueprint. So it's all about living by design and not by default. So a lot of times we find ourselves what I like to call defaulting through our days. And that was me up until the point I was 25, right? I wasn't really being intentional. I was just showing up and going through the movements, right? Until that was no longer serving me. And I was like, something has to change, right? So the system that I've created for the person that feels overwhelmed. That's like, I'm just treading water.
Yeah.
I can't even make it any distance. I'm just keeping my head above water. Right. So the first thing I say is we want to pick an intention for you for the next 12 months. So you could do this at the start of the year, but you could do this on a Wednesday in June, right? It doesn't matter. It like, don't wait for Monday. Don't wait for next month or the start of the week. Just when you're listening to this, I want you to think about how do you want to feel in 12 months time? Because 12 months is enough time that we can implement a lot of shifts and changes, but it's also something you can start working on right away. And so, how do you want to feel? Do you want to feel peaceful? Do you want to feel energized? Empowered was my word this last year. And for me, that looked like really leaning into my physical health and wellness for the first quarter of the year. I didn't even start working on my book. That was my big goal for this year as we are recording this, but I didn't even start working on it until the second half of the year because I was like, I need to go back to basics. I'd been sick and I was like, I just need to get good sleep. I need to eat good food and I need to move my body. Right. So the first thing we start with is how do you want to feel? And if you have a hard time, if you're hearing me say that and you're like, Kate, I don't even know how I want to feel, switch it in reverse. Think about, well, how do I not want to feel anymore? Do I not want to feel tired? Do I not want to feel sluggish? Do I not want to feel scatterbrained? Right. How is it that you don't want to feel? But then let's make it more positive. So let's think about then the opposite of that. So you want to feel organized, you want to feel present, right? Present's been a word that a lot of my community members chose over this last year. So we
Mm.
start with how we want to feel, and then we turn that into some quarterly goals with soul. So goals that are aspirational. So future you, totally got it. Current you's like, I'm a little nervous, but I can do this. It's aspirational, it's attainable. So if you show up consistently, you can make this happen. It's meaningful. So it's meaningful to you personally, not anybody else. You don't have to justify it. It just means something to you. And it's seasonally appropriate. And I think this is the most important part for us high achievers who are wearing all the hats. If I wanted to sit down and write my book, 2 years ago, it would have never happened because I had a 5-year-old and a 3-year-old at the time, and they were both home, and it would never happen. So I had to wait until the season when they were in school full time, right? So, what is this seasonally appropriate goal? And then we just start to think about, okay, what can I do daily that supports this goal, that ultimately supports the way I want to feel or your annual intention? So that comes down to our habits, how we're living in our day to day life. And for us high achievers, it's so hard. We want to do all the things all at once. But my challenge to you, friend who's listening, is just choose one thing. So if you want to feel energized, maybe the one thing you choose is I'm going to create a bedtime routine for myself so that I can end the day and get good rest. And then once that is established, maybe you've done it for a month or even 2 months, it's no longer something you have to think about doing or put energy into doing. It's just part of who you are. Then maybe you add on a morning routine, right? And you keep building it from there. So start small so you get that success momentum and keep building from there.
Such great advice. And I like that you shared start with intention.
Mm-hmm.
And I know for many, like as a high achiever, okay, that I love that you shared that. Start with intention. But what
Yeah.
if somebody's like, I don't even know like
Yeah.
what to start with? And so I really glad that you broke it down more granular and you're like, okay, if you can't feel the feels of where you want to
Mm-hmm.
be, because
Yeah.
that's for a lot of women, we can't even see that far.
Yeah. We're in the weeds.
Right. We're in the weeds. We're feeling like everything's coming in on us. We're
Yeah.
suffocating. We can't even see our hand in front of our face, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes. So I like that you shared, like, listen, if you don't know how you want to feel, you can't even get there yet, then how do you not want to feel? What are you
Mm-hmm.
tired of feeling tired of? Right?
Yep.
What are you so exhausted with? You're like, I just don't want to do this anymore. And then start there and go the opposite. So write
Yeah.
that down because many people will share like you need to feel into it and you need to feel to be and
Mm-hmm.
start there. And it's like sometimes we're like, I can't even.
Yeah.
So that was such great advice and something that we can really latch onto and go,
Mm-hmm.
okay, I can see that. I can see where my biggest struggle is. And right now it's just I don't even want to get out of bed. I just
Mm-hmm.
want to be able to wake up every morning and feel excited for the day and ready and feel energy and happy.
Yeah.
And starting there, and okay, how do we make you feel that? And like you said, maybe it's just creating a consistent bedtime routine or
Mm-hmm.
even just bedtime, like
Yeah.
no matter what. And then we can add the bedtime routine into it
Mm-hmm.
from there. And then that will slowly expand into the rest of your day.
Mm-hmm.
So beautifully stated, beautifully said. And thank you for that. Um, so when it came to you, started, going from your 9 to 5, working in
Mm-hmm.
the real world business, I guess, life
Mm-hmm.
world, and then moving into, pivoting into yoga and
Mm-hmm.
management and now entrepreneurship.
Mm-hmm.
What were some of the fears that came up for you during those pivots that and
Mm.
how did you move through them?
Oh man, this is such a good question, Heidi. I would say my biggest fear was that I wouldn't be able to do it. That I would show up and put a ton of effort in and I would stink. I did my yoga teacher training and I was like, I think I could be a really good yoga teacher, but I had no proof of that, right? And so for me, I think it was ultimately it was the fear of showing up imperfectly was really scary to me. I'd always been the person that I got stuck. And if I couldn't do something perfectly, I didn't want to do it at all. Which now, after 10 years of personal growth, I'm like, oh no, oh baby Kate, like you just got to do it
Baby
imperfectly.
Kate. I love
Yes.
that, baby Kate.
And so I think that was my biggest fear was that fear of showing up imperfectly. And oh my gosh, Heidi, I'll tell you this story. So when I was early on in my teaching career, I taught anywhere and everywhere. I drove over all around the Chicago suburbs at the time. I taught at 6 a.m. I taught at 8 p.m. I mean, and so I remember I was teaching this one 6 a.m. class. I was really tired. I'd been up at like 4 a.m. to get there, right? I was cueing my students to I was trying to say their fingertips to the sky, and it came out fingertips. And I was like, that's not even a word. I don't even use that word, but I'm tired. And I was just like, sorry, guys, words are hard, you know? And in that moment, I could have been mortified, which I kind of was on the inside, of course. I still remember this a decade later. But I was really proud of myself because I kept going, right? I needed to teach the rest of the class. We were only 10 minutes into a 60-minute class, right? And so that kind of taught me to one, to be able to laugh at yourself a little bit, to be like, we can't show up perfectly. And in fact, we're just going to commit to showing up imperfectly because you get better with more and more practice. So hundreds of classes later, right? I'm not accidentally slipping up and saying that.
Right.
Other things will come out and you're like, that was a weird word. I don't know what that was, but that's okay. And so I think the biggest lesson out of that fear was just how can I show up imperfectly? How can I prepare well? How can I show up and do my best? Absolutely. But how can I also show myself grace at the same time? Because we're all just learning as we're going. And if I go back and I listen to, say, episode 1 of my show, oh my gosh, like I didn't even record it. I had my nice microphone set up. I didn't set the ports correctly. It recorded off the crummy built in microphone on my laptop. Like the quality was awful. But I was like, I will never get the gumption up again to re-record this first episode. So I was like, I just have to publish it and I'm just going to learn. And I've never done that again. And I just keep showing up imperfectly and getting better as I go. And sometimes you keep showing up imperfectly and sometimes you realize, oh, I don't actually like this thing. And then that's just data for you to take and maybe move in a different direction. Or maybe you keep showing up and you're like, oh no, I really love this. And now I'm learning how to do it a little bit better every single time.
Yeah, so good because one the first episode, if you literally would have like you didn't have the gumption, you had two choices. You could have said like, you know what, this is proof that I'm not meant to be a podcaster.
Right.
Had that happened and you would have thought into that and lived into that and
Mm-hmm.
believed that, you wouldn't be top 2% right now and you wouldn't
Yeah.
have 349 or 350 other episodes under your
Yeah.
belt. And your audience and us wouldn't have the beauty of you in our
Oh.
lives and your wisdom, which is really important. So,
Mm-hmm.
we can, and now you have a story. Like that's a
Yeah.
story that you have to bring forward and to inspire others. Like, listen, this is what can happen. Talk about my first time going live. It was the ugly side. I bawled my eyes out. It was not a pretty moment. It was scary as heck. It was the most fearful thing I could do in my life. I literally thought I was on stage in front of millions of people. That's how
Mm-hmm.
it felt. But you
Yeah.
get through it, and now it's a story, and it's part of
Yeah.
your journey. So for you listening, like Kate's giving you gold right here because there's so many things she could have done. She literally could have ran out of that room mortified
Mhm.
about what she said. Instead, we get to laugh at ourselves. Like we don't get to take ourselves so seriously.
Mhm.
When we do, if you show up as the stiff person or taking
Mhm.
yourself so seriously, people are never going to get to know you and connect with you on that deeper level because
Yeah.
that is a wall, in my opinion, because I did it.
Yeah.
I had to be so perfect. If it's not perfect, I'm not doing it. And I
Mhm.
would literally stay up all night to have the perfect birthday party for my kids, like
Mhm.
everything. And then I'd fall over as soon as it was over at 6 p.m., passed out,
Right. Yep.
right? I didn't even really get to be present. And like you said, that's a word that many of your clients want to be is present. I didn't really
Mhm.
get to fully be present because I was so worried about everything being perfect. And
Mhm.
then it would rain and I'll be like, oh my God, now the whole blow up thing outside doesn't even get to be used. My whole schedule is off. And that would take
Yep.
me down. Whereas when we give ourselves grace, that you use
Mhm.
that word, which I love, and just laugh at yourself. The more you laugh
Yeah.
at yourself, the more that you're going to bring your people in, especially as an entrepreneur. Be open and honest and be like, hey, this is what I did.
Mhm.
That did not go well. And that's content too. I know
Yeah.
as entrepreneurs, we struggle, right, Kate? Sometimes we're like, I
Mhm.
don't even know what to put out. Who's going to want to hear me? What should I talk
Mhm.
about? Talk about your stuff, right?
Yeah.
You don't have to talk about the open wounds that are still gaping and seeping.
Mhm.
You get to talk about the healed, but you also get to talk about those moments that now you can look back on and laugh about. So that's,
Exactly.
I'm better for it, right?
Yes.
Many of the, if everything was perfect, we wouldn't be any better. We wouldn't be
Right.
growing. And I think this journey of life is about growth, like where we were when we were 5. If we were still
Mhm.
there, oh, the world would be a mess if we were all
Yep.
5-year-olds, right? Um, Thank you for sharing that. So tell us more about your program, about how you
Mhm.
help women, and what it would look like from when somebody starts with you to what life looked like on the other side of it.
Yeah, absolutely. So I work with women in a number of different ways. So I work with them one on one. I do group coaching in my collective. And then I also have an online course. So there's something for, every different price point for how involved you want me to be in your life. But essentially, we follow the Live by Design blueprint. So I help you think through, what do I want over the next 12 months? How do I want to feel? We work through some of those maybe limiting beliefs or those ideas that are just keeping you stuck and thinking, well, I can't have that, right? So we identify that intention, then we set those goals with soul, those aspirational, attainable, meaningful, and seasonally appropriate goals. And sometimes a goal with soul, it might actually feel quote small to you, right? Like for me, starting this when in 2024, the beginning of the year, I spent the first 3 months of the year focusing on my physical health and wellness. This was not a glamorous goal with soul, right? But I was like, I need to feel good in my body in order to show up and serve the way I want to in the world, right? And so we work through that process together of creating one or two goals with soul for each quarter of the year. And we usually go a quarter at a time. That way we can evaluate in real time. And then we take it that next step further. We think about, okay, what are the daily and weekly habits that are going to help me achieve this goal with soul that are also going to help me feel the way I want to feel or attain that intention for myself? And we get really granular with, what is a habit and what is a habit loop and how do we habit stack and habit pair and all those kinds of things where these are just skills that we're not necessarily taught in school, but things that can really help us. So, a lot of times, the women I help are starting off feeling kind of chaotic. They're feeling overwhelmed. They're feeling like they're everywhere at once and they're busy all day long, but they get to the end of the day and they're like, I don't even know what I did today. Right. And at the end of working together, my hope is that they feel present. My hope for them is that they feel like they have confidence and clarity in where they're going and that they know how to get there, and that they trust themselves to keep showing up, to keep doing the work. And a lot of what we work on is resilience and mindset work. It's a lot of rewriting that inner critic in our mind to an inner coach. It's a lot of this inner work where you don't necessarily see it the way you would with like a physical transformation,
Mm.
but the impact it has not only on your personal life, but your physical health in your business. These are all the things that are probably keeping you stuck and that we can slowly start to work through. So yeah, that's what I do in a nutshell.
I love it. And we get to start small, which is great
Yeah.
because when we're in overwhelm, we need to
Mhm.
start there. And we don't, and many times we're in overwhelm, we can't even get there. We're like, I don't
Yeah.
even know how to drill that down.
Yeah.
And get granular, like you said. And I know we talk about goal setting. I talk about
Mhm.
it in my business with helping my clients too. And I'm like, you get to have that year goal. I can't think
Yeah.
10 years out. I've just never been
No.
a person. Even 5 years, 3 years, I'm kind of like, I'm starting to think, okay, well, what would I like it to be like? But I still can't
Mhm.
fully go there. A year I can do, but you
Mhm.
have to break those down because otherwise it's still overwhelming. It can still be like, okay, that's a bit, especially if you're going big and bold, which you should be
Yeah.
doing. So I like how you break it down quarterly,
Mhm.
especially with the intention. And you're like, okay, especially with overwhelm, because
Yeah.
this is your audience. You're talking to people who are already at that level. They're like, I can't even think the big things.
Mhm.
Let's start here, and then you build onto the bigger and
Yeah.
bigger. So if you're feeling overwhelmed, if you're feeling like you're rinsing and repeating a life that you're not excited over when you wake up in the
Mhm.
morning, then reach out to Kate. Which brings me, Kate, how do we find you? How do we reach out?
Oh, thank you, Heidi. Well, funnily enough, I'm not the only Kate House in the world, apparently. So you can find me everywhere at Miss Kate House. So MS Kate, Kate House, just like a house, House. So misskatehouse.com is my website. You can find everything over there. I'm active over on Instagram at Miss Kate House. And you can even come over to the podcast and hear Heidi and her beautiful insights. We talked over on the Live by Design podcast. But again, if you just look for me, Kate House, on any of your podcast feeds, you will find the show. And yeah, we have a lot of fun over there. It's a great chance for me to meet women like you and to just get to connect and have beautiful conversations.
Yes, she is so much fun. So definitely you want to connect with Kate. Go check out her podcast. It's Live by Design. And and also her program, Live by Design Collective. So it's super easy to remember. Live by Design. Like this is how you get to be the architect and create the life that you want. Kate, I have some more questions for you, but
I
is there
love it.
anything else that you want to touch on, or any advice you could give someone listening in regards to what you do? I also love the goal with soul. Like
Mm,
I'd love that you call it that, because we can think of goals as monetarily and that and things like
hmm
that, but it's really important to get for in order to achieve the success, like we shared at the beginning, the people that you hear when they achieve great success, it's not all about financial. It's
Yeah.
about really getting in tune too with who they are, creating those healthy habits, taking care of
hmm
themselves first, because just as a mom, we can't take care of our loved ones and give them the
hmm
best of us when we're not focused on ourselves first. It's like that oxygen mask, which when I was little, I was like, well, that's really selfish, but it's not. It's really selfless, because if our kids aren't getting, our families, our loved ones aren't getting the best of us when we're
hmm
feeling overwhelmed, when we're feeling like we're drowning every day, or we're not living a happy life. And our kids deserve to learn by us. We're the role
Yeah.
models for them, right, Kate? So when
Yep.
we're going after our goals, we're going after our dreams, and it's not necessarily being an entrepreneur. You don't have to have
hmm
that goal or vision. It could be like, I want to have an organized life. I want to feel like I can go on vacation, and I want to have fun. I want my kids seeing me have fun. I think many of us moms is they don't get to see us having fun. They see
hmm
us in mom mode all the time, but not in human mode. I remember when I
Yes.
first realized, I'm like, wait a minute, my parents had a life before me. Like, no, they
What?
they got in trouble. They were doing all those things before me. We don't think and your kids feel the same way. They get to see
Yeah.
you as a human on top of being a mom. So
hmm
um, definitely go check out our podcast. Definitely go check that out. I want to talk into the children, because I
Mm.
brought this up at the beginning, and you're a mom of two, and
Yeah.
you're heavily involved with your kids. And for me, I
hmm
know I went into entrepreneurship because I wanted to be more present for my kids. And I feel like that's still something I'm working on. I feel like my business gets more of my attention than my
hmm
kids at many times, and they understand it. But I
Yeah.
also know that these years are going by fast. Mine are 14 and 15.
Yeah.
So I need to start making more priority and time, and I'm being very open about this to be present for them, because
hmm
I know I'm sure I'm not the only one that's feeling like this
hmm
thing. Um, so that's one of my goals for 2025. But I've been having conversations with my daughter, Kate,
Yes.
around, really finding something you love to do now. Because
Mhm.
she's like, I got to get a job. I got to make money. I'm like, you're 15, and we're not pushing you. I like that you want to, and your school isn't like the best right now with no job.
Right.
Organized and figured out so you can handle another responsibility. Prove to me this first, and then
Mhm.
we will add something on to that layer. Just like you teach. Let's
Yeah.
start small. Let's
Mhm.
hone this in, and then we'll bring other pieces in.
Mhm.
And I keep telling her, I'm like, you're never going to have this opportunity again to go get an internship. She
Yeah.
loves photography. She loves cooking. I'm like, do all the things that you love or have passion about right now.
Mhm.
Go do them as a job or learn
Mhm.
them as an intern. See if you really like them outside of the
Mhm.
little things that you know about it. Hone your skills, especially at 15. I'm like, do you know how many people would hire you because you're 15?
Yeah.
Because they get excited, they want to see you win. They're more likely to give you a chance than if you were 35. You know what
Mhm.
I'm saying? It's just a person. We want our kids to, we want to support the littles, right? The underdogs.
Mhm.
So, what would you say to the moms out there? Like, what's the importance of us showing up and doing this for ourselves so we can show our
Mm.
littles? And how do we have these conversations? Because I'm curious from your perspective, since you do this as an expert. I'm not winning this game over here. Like I was just talking to her dad today, and I'm like, we keep telling her the same thing. We didn't
Mm.
really have this opportunity to go figure out
Mhm.
what we love to do and turn that into money. Because they always say,
Mhm.
do what you love, and you'll never work a day in your life, and you'll earn plenty of money.
Mhm.
So what would you say? How would you have? How could you help me help her?
Yeah. Well, I'm right there with you. It's definitely something I'm still learning to navigate, right? So my kids are 5 and 7 now. So we've got a kindergartner and a first grader. So if you hear a frog in my throat, it's because we've got a head cold going around. These early elementary germs are brutal. So what I've tried to do, and I can kind of speak into like what's worked well for me. And it's really about being in the season that you're in. And by that, I mean, when I started my business, My kids, I was a stay-at-home mom full time. They were both really little. I think they were like 1 and 3 when I started the podcast. And so I would podcast over nap time. I would podcast when they went to sleep at night. Was it my best working hours? No, of course not. I'm a morning person. Like I don't want to podcast at 8 p.m., but that's the time that I had. And it was a gift in a way because by having small amounts of time to start, I had to be very focused. Like I couldn't go on my computer and be like, I'm gonna go waste an hour on social media. No, because like my 1 year old might wake up and, want mom cuddles right any minute. So I just need to be very focused. So that really helped me in the beginning. And when I say seasonal, it shifted over time. So when I first started my collective and my coaching program, we would meet. Our calls were Monday nights at 8 p.m. because my kids, when they were little, they were in bed and they were settled, right? As they've gotten older, well, they're still up at 8 p.m. So it's like, oh, okay, if I want to be with them and be present with my children and also do this thing, maybe now I'm in a season where I need to change the day that I host this call, or I need to change the time of day that I host this call, right? So for me, it's about just continually recalibrating and recognizing that what worked well in one season, maybe now as we transition to our kids getting older, or, they have more responsibility, or they have, maybe they can drive, right? And so life has changed again, right? And they can take themselves to practice or jobs or whatever it is, right? So continuing to evaluate. And then I would say, I guess my like final thing that's really helped me is to ask my kids. Like I started hosting these Sunday afternoon calls with my collective, and they're only an hour, but my kids were like, Mom, why are you working on the weekend? Like, you're the boss. I was like, I know I am, right? You're okay. And I heard them. I was like, okay, well,
I am the
yeah,
boss.
exactly. So anytime my kids, like somebody asked my son one time, they're like, oh, who's in charge of your family? And they're like, oh, Mom's the boss. And I
He
was
runs
like,
the ship.
exactly. I was like, he means it because I run a business, but I guess it's true. But I think, yeah, I think just like recognizing the season you're in, asking your kids and just listening to them, right? So I heard that. I was like, oh, okay. My kids really want this time with me on the weekends. It's not that they don't want me to be a coach. It's not that they don't want me to support these beautiful women. It's just that they want this time with me. And so it's like, okay, it's time for a shift. It's time for a change. And that's okay. Right. And so for me, I guess it's just about being flexible, taking stock of where you're at. If it's working, great, keep it as is. But if it's not, if you feel that area of friction or tension, just start to, my husband and I, we call it idea soup. It's this space, it's a safe place where you can just throw out ideas and solutions. And sometimes you throw out a bunch of ideas and you're like, none of these are good. We need to go back to the drawing board. But sometimes you throw out an idea and you're like, this seems a little crazy, but I actually think it's the perfect solution.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
So basically communication, right?
yeah.
Having that open communication with them. And I'll do that with, I've done that with them where I'm like, okay, this isn't working. Like the house isn't
Yeah.
right. And it's been like this forever and I'm working and they're, coming and going and
Right.
this is not working. We get to
Mm-hmm.
renegotiate and figure this out and how we can come together as a team because we are a team.
Mm-hmm.
And just having that, maybe it is like, monthly check-ins with them or quarterly
Yeah.
check-ins where you have a sit down and you have, okay, what's working in our family, what's not working in our family,
Mm-hmm.
how can I help you get the quality or a quantity of
Mm-hmm.
time that you're looking for, and also it's quality over quantity, and just
Right.
listening to them. And by you having that open dialogue, you're teaching your kids that they feel safe to be seen and heard. Um,
Yeah.
so by them sharing with you on, because I didn't have that when I was growing up, I didn't feel
Right.
say. So and I think that's one thing that we've learned back in, like, I'm
Mm-hmm.
older than you, but back when I was growing up, many of us we felt like we can be seen, kids were seen
Mm-hmm.
and not heard, right?
Oh, yes.
Which if you're not heard, you're really not seen. So
Mm-hmm.
it was very, we weren't, the communication was not as open as it is now. And I think that that's one beauty that we're bringing when learning that a lot of us are bringing as parents into
Mm-hmm.
this a new generation is that we
Mm-hmm.
want to shift that.
Yeah.
So I love that you have that with them and that you were able to listen to them and go, okay, yeah, I am the boss and Sundays don't work for my kids. So
Yeah, exactly. And they did at a time when they napped at that time, but
right,
now they're older. They don't nap anymore. And the one thing that came to mind for me too, Heidi, and specifically with your daughter, and you mentioned like, wanting to get the academics in a place before adding in the job. The one thing I have found is that sometimes when you have less time, it does force you to be really focused and
rigorous.
intentional. Yeah. And so so for example, when I was in college many moons ago, my junior year, I got a job being a tour guide on campus, which was so fun. And I still basically give people tours of the campus because I live in the small town where I went to college. And I remember adding that into my schedule, and my parents were like, well, like, you've got a full course load. I was on the ultimate frisbee team, which was a surprisingly a lot of time.
It's
And
cool, fun
yeah,
fact.
maybe that's my fun fact, right? And that took up a lot of time and energy because we had practice every day. We went to tournaments on the weekends. It was a big part of my life and my schedule. But because I loved playing frisbee and because I really enjoyed also having a job and having some expendable income, it made me, in the hours that I did have for my academics, I had to be very focused. So I wasn't at the library like putzing around and like talking with other people. I like had my big noise canceling headphones on. I was like, no, I am in work mode because I have 1 hour to get this homework done. Right. And so there's something about sometimes having that compressed time frame actually forces you to work really deep. So I just throw that out there. If your daughter has that desire for that job, like maybe in some weird way it'll help her
It'll shift everything.
academically.
Yeah, and I do agree with that. And thank you for the reminder because I thought about that
Yeah,
too. I'm like, worst comes to worst, she just leaves the job, right? If it
totally.
doesn't work, what we're doing now, like that's where it all comes back to always evaluating and taking
Yeah.
time and checking in with yourself. What's working, what's not working
Mm-hmm.
with your business, with your personal life, with your family, with your health. What's
Mm-hmm.
working, what's not working, and celebrate what's working.
Yeah.
And then let's tweak what's not
Yeah.
working. We can always retweak that. It's
Yeah.
always navigation. So we could help her get the job, which she's working on. So she is going to get the job.
That's awesome.
I'm trying to push her to do stuff that she can create a career out of that she likes to
Yeah.
do and be like, okay, so I think that's what we're going to do. We're going to be like, okay, here's the deal. You can get the job. We get to see your grades come up, right?
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
negotiation, understanding. This is the structure, these are the
Mm-hmm.
terms, and these are the consequences. And I teach them, I'm like, consequences are both negative and positive.
Mm-hmm.
It's really not negative or positive. It's the emotion that we assign to it or the view that we put on it.
Yeah.
It's just like every decision has a consequence. It could be
Mm-hmm.
great consequence in your mind, or it could be a horrible consequence in your mind, but it's a
Mm-hmm.
consequence. It's a
Yeah.
result, right? It's a
Yep.
result. So letting her get the job, and she also gets to do something which looking into creating something around her passion. So maybe
Yeah.
that I just don't want her to get stuck at 35 going, I hate what I'm doing. I wish
Yeah.
I would have taken the time to do what mom and dad asked me to do and get the internship or
Mm-hmm.
learn more about what I really liked because who knows what I could be doing now. And in our
Yeah.
world today, the sky's the limit,
Oh my
especially
gosh.
online world. Yes, back in our day, it was local when I was growing up.
Mm-hmm.
Local, this was your range, whatever. Now it's global. You can take your
Yeah.
business to so many more. And I'm not saying she has to be an entrepreneur. That's not what she
Mm-hmm.
wants to do. But so thank you for the reminder. And
Yeah.
I agree. Sometimes when we condense the time, you
Mm-hmm.
rise to the occasion and I think that's her mentality too. You know,
Yeah.
her idle time doesn't always give you
Right.
more structure.
And maybe she'll get a job and she's like, you know what I learned from this summer job, mom? I don't want to work at a froyo stand ever again, right? Maybe
Yeah,
it's
you can
just
learn what you don't want to do.
exactly.
Yeah,
She might want to do X, Y, or Z instead.
yeah. So yeah, that was a great point. And thank you for the reminder. So okay, my final question.
Yeah.
Go make sure that you follow Kate, Ms. Kate House, right? Ms.
Mhm.
Kate House. So we're gonna put all of her links inside the show notes, but go follow her, go connect with her, DM her,
Yeah.
go to her the website, go to her podcast, Live by Design.
Mhm.
And also, Kate, you have a free gift. But let's get that before I ask you my two final questions, so we make sure our listeners can go grab that from you.
Absolutely, friend. So I would love to gift you the all access pass for my Goals with Soul Summit. So we will make a special discount code for you. So you get it for 100% off. It's a $97 value, but it'll be totally free for you. And it'll give you access to this past Goals with Soul Summit. So it's over 20 podcast episodes. Obviously, you love podcasts, you're here. So you'll get access to all of those. And we spent 3 days really talking about intention setting, our goals, and our habits. But we did it with an incredible array of experts from time management, from super mom Lori Oberbreckling. I love how she talks about morning routines. We talk about all these different approaches to intentional living. And then you also get video recordings of, I did coaching sessions every evening of the summit. I think there's 5 different coaching sessions in there that you guys get the replays of. So if you have this desire to live with more intention, to live by design and not by default, this is just a very supportive and kind approach to implementing some of these shifts. And I always like to tell people, like, don't listen to every podcast episode in there because that's a lot, right? Just pick the 3 that you're like, this title really resonates with me and listen to that and implement one thing from that episode and just go slowly, do 1, 2, or 3 episodes, take what you need, and it's okay to not watch and listen to everything, right? Sometimes we need that permission. Us high achievers, like, you don't have to do it all.
Such a good reminder too, because live by design, not by default. Love that. This is, you get one go round on this planet, you know. I don't know, maybe people think we get many, but you get one that you're in right now that you
Yeah.
remember. Make it everything you want to make. We have so much, as humans, we don't live up to our true potential, most of us. There's so much more that we could have done if we just had some guidance or some support or believe, like you brought that word up before, belief that you can actually have more. And you are the architect, you're the creator, and you get to choose something different. If you want change, you've got to make it, you've got to change. Things
Mm-hmm.
things get to change.
Yeah.
But you get to make that choice, that change starts now and it
Yeah.
starts today. So if you're ready to make that change and you're ready to start now, go grab the free gift. Thank you for
Mm-hmm.
your generosity, Kate, with this.
Of
That's
course.
amazing because I know this is jam packed. I've done summits. I know the work that goes into them. So the gift that she's giving you is a lot of sweat and tears behind it. And I know if she's giving this to you, especially if she's gifting it to you for free, it's jam packed with value. You're going to gain so much gold from this. So please make sure that you go grab it, and we'll have the code and everything in the show notes for you for that. Um, okay, Kate, ready?
Yes, I'm
Okay.
ready.
You did share, a fun fact about you, which was so cool because I didn't know that. Like that was,
Yep.
but do you have another fun fact that you'd like to share with us that we would not know of Ms. Kate just by seeing you in social or hearing you from your podcast?
Yeah. So I think my fun fact is that, well, first, I live in the small town where I went to college. So I like to call it my adopted hometown of Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. It's a small town. I love everything about it. It, like, the moment I visited it in high school to see if I wanted to go to college here, it felt like home. Like, it felt like the hometown I had always wanted. And I love living here. And my fun fact is that I married my college sweetheart. I had no intention of going to college and like really dating anyone seriously. And then I met Dennis and was like, I really like this guy. And we dated basically all of college ever since we were 18, and we're still together. And now we live in, we like to say it's our own, like, it's like both of our hometown because we both chose Gettysburg College. And so now we love to live here and raise our little boys here. So we very consciously wanted to move here and just have a slower pace of life and have more time together and all of those things. So yeah, that's my fun fact. And I guess if I had to throw one other in, I still have 2 baby teeth. I don't have the adult teeth, so I still have 2 baby teeth.
Wow, that is interesting.
I know, isn't that weird?
I don't know if it's weird, but I think it's amazing. I don't think many people. Yeah, I guess it is
I
weird.
know. I
Different.
know, right? My dentist is always like, they could stay 5 more minutes or 50 more years. And I'm like, well,
Wow.
okay.
They're attached. They wanted to stay. They don't want to go.
That's right. They're
Yeah.
along for the ride.
Part of your journey.
Yeah.
And that's so romantic, first of all. So
Yeah.
and yeah, I love that. I'm a romantic at heart, so
Aw.
that story. And you live in a very historical place, which is
Mm-hmm.
really cool because I've been there and it's really cool. A lot of history there. Second question then leads me to is if you could have a lunch with any famous person or historical figure, either alive or deceased, who would that be and why?
Oh man. Okay. Historical figure. Oh my
Or
gosh.
famous,
There's
or
or
famous,
famous. Oh man. Okay. So if it
political,
were,
whatever figure, anybody that.
oh, I love this. Well, I'm like looking back at I have like so many. I love to read. I'm a voracious reader of both like of personal growth. I love like that's the kind of book I'm writing, but I also love like romantic fantasy. I think I would want to talk with Brene Brown. I just find her
Yes. Oh,
right,
so
just
good.
like so inspiring. I love her approach to family focused families is something we've been really leaning into in our home. And I just everything she puts out, I'm just here for it. So I would love to just sit down and ask her all of my questions.
Yeah, I think she'd be fun to have lunch with too. She's like,
Right?
yeah, that would be a fun lunch for sure.
Yeah.
I love it. Thank you for your input on that. Thank you, Kate, so much for being here today. This has been so much fun. I can't wait for
Yes.
this episode to come out. For you listening, make sure you go check her out. Go find her. Remember, it's don't just go to Kate House because there's plenty. Go to Miss Kate House. We got to put links in here. Go check her out on the Live by Design podcast. Make sure you go listen to it.
Mhm.
I'm in there somewhere.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
regardless of that, even if it hasn't dropped yet, go check her out, go listen to it,
Mhm.
go grab her free gift. And like she said, do not do all the things. Pick and choose what resonates for you in the moment. You have this is yours to keep, and you
Mhm.
can always go back, and you don't have to consume it in a matter of a day. Go pick and
Mhm.
choose what resonates with you, and release the overwhelm, and just take what you need and keep moving forward. So thank you, Kate, for your expertise and your sharing and all of your just wisdom today. I'm so grateful for your time, and I hope to have you back on maybe sometime soon.
Oh, thank you so much, Heidi. It's been such a pleasure and so lovely to just meet your community and get connected. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, and thank you. Thank you for joining us today on the Be She podcast. Go be empowered to be seen and heard.